spot and you're writing down whatever it says and not thinking, this is not the class for that. These are all story problems. A kid once asked me, like how many, like, what % of the time are you doing story problems in consumer math? And I was like, every problem? Every problem is a story problem, essentially. All right, so let's turn it around, look at the tip worksheet. We're going to do number 5 and number, I don't know, let's do 12, 13, 14 together. All right, number 5. Your brother drives a taxi. He drove a customer to the airport. The fare was $16. He expects a 15% tip. How much tip should his customer give him? Now, I want you to be careful. Everybody look up. Look up. This says, how much tip is the question? Over on this one, it says, how much should you leave? So be careful. Don't always write the tip down. Sometimes you need to write the original amount that you had to pay for the bill plus the tip. Sometimes just the tip. Okay? All right, so how do you figure it out, Renee?
16 times 0.15.
Everybody put in your calculator. 16 times 0.15. You guys get $2.40?
Yeah.
Okay, when it is money, you should not write 2.4. You should write $2.40, so you always round to the nearest cent. Yes?
We have to show our work, right?
Yes, so you would write 16 times 0.15 here. Let's say on the bottom section, I want you to show your work on the one we're about to do, and then also show your work on at least one other, and the rest of them you can just do in your calculator, okay? And by one other, I mean one row. These are kind of like 6 problems, you know what I'm saying? Okay, all right, let's look at Rob. We're looking at Rob's row down here. First, we need to find his earnings from his wages. How do we figure that out? This means just how much has he made just by working there, not including tips. You guys with me? I know Renee is.
Yeah, it's just 215 times 5 for earnings.
Right, 215 times 5. Why do you think Rob is making so little per hour?
Because all of his wages from tips.
Most of his wages from tips. 215 times 5, which is he only makes for his 5 hours of work from his business $10.75. Yikes. Okay, now how do we figure out his tips? Let's see, let's look at the paragraph above the thing. It says, the resort adds 15% to the cost of the meals, and each person gets that amount as a tip. So the resort actually forces you to tip 15%, which is something that some places do. It's pretty rare around here, but very common like at resort type places. So we're going to take this bill that was $260, multiply it by 0.15.
39.
What'd you say?
I got 39.
Okay. So they made $39 in tips. How do we find out their total earnings for the day? Renee?
Don't you have to add the 1075 and 39?
Yep, so you get $49.75. All right, I just showed my work for one row. I expect that you're going to show your work on 6, 7, and 8, and that you also show your work for one more row down below, and that is it for your homework. Okay?
So show your work on one other row.
One other row, but you do have to do the whole thing. I'm just saying that you only for one row do you have to write down what you did, okay?
And show your work for 6, 7, 8.
Yes, please. All right, I'm gonna walk around quick and check out your net pay worksheet. Nice job. I think it's funny when people are like, this class is so easy, and then in the same breath, they're like, taxes are so hard. And I'm like, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing, you can do it. Hard thing about taxes is when you start owning stuff, and then you have a lot more complicated taxes. But again, it's just complicated adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. Nice job. job. Awesome.
No, I just,
It was on school, she said.
Says Tyler,
I'll bet.
even though I would've done the same thing, you still should have done it. 'Cause I'm above the law.
I did this for about a week.
Yeah, and not just for one time.
What was that, for like 2 weeks?
2 weeks and 2 classes. And you're like, oh yeah, I kept up in my other classes.
That's even worse.
I know, he singled out math and was like, Miss Nussbaum's class doesn't matter. Isn't that right? I'm glad you re-brought that up, now I can remember it again.
Oh, I'm all caught up. I'm doing just fine.
I mean, now you are.
I mean, now I can't get out of school for like